I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to bench Sue.
Yes. I didn't know I wanted to start until you got benched.
And so, Megan, welcome to the starting lineup.
I gave you the butthole.
Sue, at the risk of being canceled in the last sentence of my appearance here, you're going to have to give me more than the butthole.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
Don't clip that.
Megan says that all the time. Welcome back, everybody. We are back in the studio. As you know, we were traveling. We were in Seattle. We caught a Seattle Storm game, which was super fun. I know you were happy to be back in the building.
So happy to be back in the building. The Stormers won. It was great to be back in our seats. That's really home. That's the home team. It is a little hard. The twin Jumbotrons always mess me up, but then It actually is nice because no matter where you're looking, you can just, it's right there.
Yeah, we're going to have to get your sister Rachel in one of those seats. See how she...
Yeah, we can just each look at one and then...
Wasn't that her other complaint about the Liberty game, that her neck was hurting from looking up at the Jumbotron?
Yeah. She's a HSP, highly sensitive person.
Yeah, she is. But yeah, we were in Seattle. The weather was beautiful. It made it really hard coming back to New York, where it is pouring rain, which is why Megan does not have her A1s on. Yeah. Otherwise, she'd be rocking them.
Yeah, you can't wear them outside in the rain.
But while we were in Seattle, you popped down to Portland. Do you want to tell us what happened?
I did. Well, I was there for JDI Day, which is basically just like Employee Carnival Day, Appreciation Day, Just Do It Day, if you didn't suss that out already. There was a lot of energy. I think everybody is really excited to have the new CEO, Elliot, back at the company and at the helm. So that was fun. And then I ran into one of the women who heads up Asia's brand within Nike. And I was just obviously giving flowers because they've done a sensational job. The launch has been great. The shoe looks amazing. The commercial was stupid. And I ever so slightly just floated like, where's mine? And my size is an 8. And then like Christmas or like the Tooth Fairy, the next day, it just showed up in the hallway. And I got myself the pinks. I wanted the pinks. I'm like, this is the original sort of like iconic shoe. So a huge shout out to Chantel from Asia's team at Nike, from her brand team, totally hooking me up. We are in the short blonde hair gang, and it was much appreciated. So I just absolutely loved it. And then I had to break them in a a little bit.
What does that mean? Oh, we're going to take a look at what that means.
Let's just take a look. Let's
go. Yo, one of the best to ever do it. Rocking them A1s.
Hey. Come on now.
Hey. You just got to... Hey. Oh, hey.
I know Asia's move. Hey. I don't know about the bounce in the front. As soon as I did it, I was like, it's probably in the other hand because bounce in the front is right where the defender is, but...
I'm not sure.
The pound dribble, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
Listen, you are elite at mimicking athletes' moves. Elite.
I honestly am.
It could be a whole show. It could be a whole segment. You're like that guy. What is it? Max is Nice, who does all the NBA players. It used to be B-Dot. Like, you are elite. You could do you could do it.
I could do it.
Yeah.
I might.
You might. I know. Once I saw that video and I saw the lefty, I was like, oh, she's doing Asia. And nobody really picked up on it at first. I think they thought you were just like slinging that thing.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I'm doing the whole thing.
What was the Euro, the slow down Euro? Who was that?
That was just me breaking the shoe in. That was me
you were testing
the shoe out.
Right.
Seeing what I could get into, if I could get into my full package in the shoe.
Oh,
I can.
You have a package.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's in it?
Package, combos.
A bag.
Dribbles. I was going to say dribbles.
You were going to say dribbles?
I have dribbles in my bag.
I bet you do.
Anyway, so thank you to everybody who made that happen because I was very happy and I'm very happy to be in the shoe. And it wasn't like as big as normal basketball shoes. You guys need a lot of support, and I get it. I'm just used to my shoe, which is just like
it's air.
Toothpicks on the bottom of a
Literally.
sock. Like, it's tiny, and it's like, I look at it, and I'm like, this isn't even as big as my foot. So I don't know what's happening here, but these ones are actually had a nice little top-down view of the shape, and like they're a little slim, and they're comfortable.
Love it.
I was banging some PKs in those.
Did you kick the PKs in those?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Top bins.
Versatile.
Top bins.
Was it turf?
Yeah. Oh. Tough. I'm pretty sure Elliot like pulled his hip or did something to his groin because Mans was limping after that.
Tough.
Mm-hmm. We're back in New York now, as you can see from the studio. Sue is off of her couch position, and I am outside of the
Seattle's
the Flatiron thing
me.
behind us? Yeah. Very happy to be back. We're going to have our very first studio guest today, and it's a superstar. Pablo Torre of Pablo Torre Finds Out is here. I can't wait to talk to Pablo, honestly, about a million different things. I love what he's doing. He is on a meteoric rise, and we're very happy to have him. We also want to acknowledge that there's a lot happening in the world, specifically in LA. The administration has sent in the National Guard, which was against Governor Gavin Newsom's recommendation. And honestly, it did not seem like it was necessary. Whatever protests were happening around the immigration policies, around ICE raids and detentions and all that's happening, the protests, for the most part, seemed calm, totally under control. And that's what Gavin Newsom had said. And also, the administration has sent in the Marines, which honestly, to me, just seems like the president is trying to incite something or make something seem like it's there when it's really not. Just a reminder, under the Constitution, we do have a right to peacefully protest. And so it just seems like the situation is being unnecessarily inflamed in many different ways from this administration. Angel City put out a statement. They linked in resources and sentiments just about the importance of diversity and belonging and speaking up. And we just wanted to say, this is the time to use your platform, like literally whatever it is. Obviously, we have a podcast. Mostly we talk about sports and the intersections of things, but this is the time that if you own a bookstore, you got a bakery, you work for the news, you're a journalist, you have a podcast, whatever it is that you're doing, there's always something that you can be saying. I feel like it is a little bit of alarm bells. So we just wanted to take a second to say something. We obviously stand with the immigrant population. We believe deeply in diversity and inclusion and just the right for people to be who they are. So our thoughts are going out to everybody in LA during this scary time. Keep yourself safe, check in on each other, and just remember, when we all are in this together, we are stronger. Let's head into the show. I'm Megan Rapinoe.
And I'm Sue Bird. This is A Touch More. Let's get into it.
Support for A Touch More comes from Ring. If you're an avid listener of the pod, you don't need us to tell you how important good defense is. With Ring doorbells and cameras, you can get security and peace of mind at home or on the go. And A Touch More fans will be glad to hear that Ring is a strong supporter of women's sports. They're expanding partnerships across leagues, including the WNBA and the National Women's Soccer League. With Ring, you can get security and peace of mind from anywhere. Learn more at ring.com. Support for A Touch More comes from Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is your streaming home for the best soccer in the world. Watch U.S. Women's National Team stars like Lynn Biondolo, Sam Coffey, and the Thompson sisters dazzle for their club teams. Catch live matches, highlights, and full match replays all season long. Don't miss out on the most exciting moments as they unfold. From kickoff to the final whistle, including the 2025 NWSL Championship streaming on Paramount Plus. Get started today by visiting ParamountPlus.com/livesports. The check-in. The WNBA. The Aces got shellacked.
Yeah, they took a tough one.
That's I mean, honestly, you never just... Sometimes I feel like those are even better. You're just like, we got whacked.
Yeah. It's just a bad day at the office.
Yeah, they lost. This was Saturday. They lost 95-68. I'm not even going to try to do the math on that. To expansion team, Golden State Valkyries, who are
Ballahallan. What do they call it? Ballahalling.
That's a new word.
Ballahalla? That's like their whole... What? You don't know that?
I missed the whole thing. Do inform me.
So Valhalla has multiple meanings. Valhalla is like something in like the world of warriors and the belief something was a powerful motivator for Viking warriors, inspiring them to fight bravely. Valhalla. So the Valkyries, I can't believe we haven't seen this. The Valkyries changed Val to ball. So it's Valhalla.
Dead.
So they use it as like their hashtag. It's like their tagline when they win. Valhalla. It's like a whole thing.
I love it. Okay, so the Valhallas.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I said Valhalla. That was wrong.
Smacked the Vegas Aces. Their third largest defeat for the Aces in the Becky Hammon era. Tough. It was also their second 20-point setback this season. Mm-hmm. First time they've had more than one of those in the Becky Hammon era. Is Becky going to get fired? No, I'm kidding. Gotcha. Hot takes here.
Didn't believe it.
No, Becky was not thrilled, though. We do not think Becky's on the hot seat, but this is what she said. It's us being soft mentally and letting people punk us and whining instead of buckling down and saying, okay, if that's what it's going to be, let's go. I told them effort has to come from your heart, the schemes, the discipline, the habits, that's your head. Right now, we not only have a heart issue, but it's becoming a head issue. I'm not going to coach effort. It's one thing I can't deal with. You are in charge of your effort. I've never been a coach to pull for mistakes, but I will pull for effort. Sue, is this about effort? Is there something else going on here? I want to float my 7 theories. What are they missing? What's different?
Well, first of all, I think this says a lot about Vegas and the success they've already had, because the expectations are so high that if they lose twice, by 20 points in the early stages of a season, everybody's like, what does this mean? Yeah. So that's first and foremost. We're only having this conversation because they're the Las Vegas Aces. And, they're back-to-back champs as of a couple years ago.
The expectation is for them to win every game.
Exactly.
All the time.
All the time. They also have a ton of talent in MVP Asia Wilson. You've got Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Olympians. You've added Jewel Lloyd, a champion, an Olympian. So, of course, the expectations are such. Of course, you expect them to do better than they're doing right now. I just want to say it's also still early. They're going to figure it out eventually, but it's a new team. I personally think that the foursome, right, which was Asia, Jackie, Chelsea, and Plum, they got to form their chemistry. I think, when did Chelsea join that trio? In 2021. Mm-hmm. So they had years together. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jewel and this foursome, they've had games together. So it's like everyone pumped the brakes a little bit. Now, with that, I do think, given really, this has been the Aces, I think, biggest hurdle in terms of team formation. They have a couple of players who make a lot of money, and that makes it hard to fill out the roster. Mm-hmm. They lost Alicia Clark in free agency. They lost Tiffany Hayes in free agency. These are 2 players that they've tried to replace. I don't know that they really have. There's other players from their, really quickly, there's other players from their championship years. Raquana Williams, so it's like they don't have the exact same bench that they once did. And that's not to hate on the people who are currently on the bench, but it's all new. And they've had to replace a lot. And they've had to probably change a lot. And that's going to take a minute. And what I see Becky doing, and then you can ask your question, is just motivating them. This is just like a way to get to them. I think they all know nobody wants to play in games like this. No one wants to play that way. They're all feeling it. And sometimes you have to put that pressure on a team to get them to, rise to the occasion.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, if we're here in the next 10 games, if 10 games from now they're still in this, we're going to bring a bell in and we're going to ring the alarm. And we're going to be calling for Becky. And we're going to be calling for trades.
You're insane. No, do you want Becky to come on the show or not? What are you doing?
I do want Becky. Becky's going to be in person. Becky, we will fly to you, be in person, because we got to get the wine open for that one for sure. So yeah, I agree. I think it's like taking a player out. So Kelsey came into 2021?
No, Chelsea. Plum got drafted
Chelsea
to San Antonio.
But it's like
Asia gets drafted. Yeah. Jackie gets drafted. Then in 2021, after those 3 had been together for like a year or 2 years, since 2019, Jackie joined.
Yeah.
Now 2021, Chelsea gets there. So this is like a lot of time.
And it's like
spent.
Those players have played together. They've played in the offseason. They've played USA basketball together. They've played in all-star games together. They've played obviously in the season together. Like, it's going to take time. And you're adding a big name, which is like great, but it's also that comes with a lot. Like
Well, I
Jewel
would
wants
say
the team
those
to be
four-
comfortable. The team wants Jewel to be comfortable. Like you lost a big player. There's like a lot of dynamics going on. So obviously it's going to take a little bit of time.
Just to add to that, those four, the old four, if you will,
Mhm.
not the new four, they carried. I mean, like I played against these teams. They
Yeah.
carried 85% of the load, of the burden
Yeah.
of those teams.
Right.
A lot of it fell on those four shoulders. Then you had Kia Stokes. I mean, I could go down the line of their bench and role players.
Yeah.
Dearica Hamby at one point. Like you had
Tiff
these players.
Hayes, Alicia Clark.
That was last year. Yeah. I'm even going further back. Then you had these players that just filled their role. But those four, so now when those four aren't clicking, when they're not there yet, which is a chemistry thing, which takes time, you kind of start to see just some of the holes in like the overall roster. But again, they're figuring it out. They're figuring it out. You got to give teams time. I've said this on Bird's Eye View. I've said this here. I think people confuse or they believe talent can speed up chemistry. Just because you're talented doesn't mean you can speed up the chemistry process.
All right.
All it does is band-aid mistakes from time to time because you're so talented.
Right.
But it can't speed up a chemistry process.
We would be remiss if we didn't give the Valks some credit. And also, I'm
No,
not
we
trying
talked
to
about that
get
way longer
any
than I
hate
expected.
from the Bay. What?
Valhalla.
Tell us a
Yeah,
little
no, the
about
Valkyries been
how
playing
well
well.
the Valkyries been playing.
Yeah, they've been playing really well. Yeah, they're figuring themselves out. I think they, a lot of people didn't understand some of the expansion draft picks, but clearly Natalie, clearly her and her staff had a vision. And I think you're seeing it come to life. You're also seeing some players. So this is true about the WNBA. And hopefully this doesn't sound like throwing any kind of shade on anybody. There is a ton of talent in our league. And a lot of times there's like a percentage of that talent where they just need minutes.
Yeah.
They just need opportunity, right? Now, what the, to that is, are you the type of talent that you can get that minute and get those minutes and get those opportunities on a top team that's going to win a championship? Now you're talking about, right, the all-stars of the world, the MVPs, right?
Yeah.
But there's still players that when they get minutes and opportunity are going to perform well. And I think that's what you're seeing with Veronica Burton, a little bit with Kayla Thornton, even Monique Billings, right? When these have always been good players. They just needed some more time to basically get more, to stat.
And they're getting more play. They're getting more shots. They're getting more opportunities. They're getting, more room to handle more of the load than they were when they were a great role player on a team that had 1, 2, 3, 4 great players.
Yeah. And then, of course, the Valkyries, they're the first WNBA team in history to average over 18,000 fans at their first 3 home games. They're averaging more fans per home game than any other team in the WNBA this season. That's nice.
We have not been yet. We're going. We're going at the end of June.
The Storms.
All my sources out in the Bay have been absolutely raving about the type of atmosphere, what it feels like in there, the experience. It's obviously, a 2-3-year-old arena. I cannot wait to go. The colors, amazing. It's got a good vibe. All of it. So we can't wait to go. And hopefully the Valks keep doing good. I love it.
Okay. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the WNBA's 44 game schedule, which is a first this year. It's making headlines because of something that Satou Sabally said. So let's take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a conversation that could also be important for the next CBA. Kathy added a lot of games, and us as players, recovery is so important. We put our bodies on the line every single time. We had 9 games in 18 days. That's not really responsible for a commissioner. I think other teams have like 3 back-to-back. So it's just a lot of things that we could clean up in terms of scheduling. But we've persevered, and we show that we can do it. It's just something that obviously along the way over the course of a long season, that's really hard to do.
So quickly, I know, Megan, you have many a thought on just this whole thing. This has come up in the NWSL. I know the midweek game is tough on your guys' bodies, something that players have complained about. So this isn't new. I do want to add like one little tidbit, which is the 44 game schedule as of like right now, which I don't think it would change. It is probably the most condensed. Right now, on average, teams are playing like every 2.7 days or something like that, which I think is the most condensed it's ever been. But give it to me. Let me hear what you got.
Give it to me. Okay, I think in so many ways I agree with what Satou is saying. And then I also want to like pull back. This isn't really specifically about what Satou is saying, but I've been thinking this for a while with WNBA players and how they speak in the media. And I think we're at a point where they need to start changing their tactic. Because essentially this is a contract year for the W because they're in a CBA negotiation.
I can't talk about that.
Right. Susan owner, just a flag, Susan owner. So she can't talk about these things. But essentially we're in a contract year, right? So this happens with every single CBA. Usually you get like 1 year into the CBA and all the things that nobody could foresee happening happen.
Of course.
It's a million different things. You have to live. It is a living, breathing document.
Yes.
Sometimes things can be amended with the mutual negotiation. Sometimes they can't. So we're at the end of this CBA or what will be this CBA. So all of the things that are tough are like coming to the forefront. We talked about Cam Brink, talking about roster spots. The players chose not to have more roster spots so the players could get more money. Loosely, right? The owners agreed. The owners, they came to that agreement.
Yes.
The players and the owners and the league agreed to a schedule that was 38 to 44 games. So because the W is doing so great, of course, the teams want more games.
I know. I do want to explain that really fast, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. So very quickly, for those that don't know, in the last CBA, as Megan just said, it was agreed upon. Anywhere the season could be 38 to 44 games. So the amount of money that was agreed to in that CBA in terms of salary cap, salaries, max salaries, the whole thing was actually at the 44 game rate.
Prorated at 44 games.
In a sense, we knew what that rate would be, that like per game rate would be.
Yeah. At 44.
At 44.
Yes.
And we said we were like, good. Like obviously everybody signed it and agreed.
Yeah.
Now the league didn't get to 44 till now.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at 38. Then they went to 40, so on and so forth. So I just want to make that point because I think there's been this misunderstanding on, oh my God, they added games. Why aren't they paying them more money?
Right. Yes, exactly. So now, because the league is growing so much, the demand is such that like we want as many games as possible, which means the CBA is busting at the seams because we couldn't start earlier in the W because of the college season. And because of Euros or EuroLeague or whatever. And we can't really go later because of the European season as well. So we're in this space where it's like we want to try to basically squeeze the lemon as hard as we can to get that. So I totally understand. And of course, that's always going to fall mostly on the players' shoulders because they're the ones out there playing. It's tough. What I want to start hearing and what I want the players to do better is to start talking now in the media about what they want. The things that are going to be difficult in the CBA in terms of negotiation, the things that, teams aren't going to want to give up, leagues not going to want to give up, owners, whether it's about money or rev share or scheduling or whatever. I want to see the players start to craft that narrative so they can get media, public opinion, and whatever on their side. They're the ones that have the mics in front of their face all the time. This is why the worst part of retiring is not being able to do a press conference or be in a mixed zone. I miss it dearly. But I really want to start to see them use the mic to storytell around the business and the growth that they want to see and the things that they want their share of. Of course, Terry Jackson, who's the head of the WPA, I'm sure she's already talking to the league and whatever about all the things that are tough. These things are sort of obvious, but I think part of it too, I feel like the U.S. women's national team had a hand to play or is responsible for this particular playbook of like going at the ownership and going, because we were going against the federation in terms of like equal pay and the men were getting more than us and whatever. Maybe if that was a governing body, that was like a different framework. Mm-hmm. This, I feel like, I think the players and the owners in the league are much more on the same side than they are on opposite sides. Everybody wants this to grow. Everybody wants more games, better product, players to get more, owners to get more, fans to get a better product, like leagues to be longer, seasons to be longer, whatever it may be. So it's not really about like what, Satou said, because it's been a lot of other players as well that have done this over the course of however long. What I want as a fan and someone watching this, I want this, whatever it is that they want, the players and what they think is most important. I want to start being told that story, because honestly, the owners have no way to combat it. Nobody wants to hear from the owners in the media. I'm sorry, they don't.
Okay.
Nobody wants to hear from
Whose side
Kathy.
are you on?
The players. Nobody wants to hear Kathy talk about that.
Okay.
That's just like
Moving
part
on
of the
to
job.
extra time with Megan.
No. I'm making a point here. Nobody wants to hear from the owners, and the owners aren't going to get in the media and talk about it. Nobody wants to hear from Kathy about that, because like everyone just like hates the commissioner no matter what, no matter how good a job or bad a job or whatever they're doing. What they want is to hear from the players. So players, start telling your stories, start weaving in the things that you want to talk about that'll be contentious, like in your CBA negotiation. So then when you get there and all of the public opinion is like, oh, I can't believe that this isn't happening, then the players can show up to the negotiation and just be like, see, everybody wants us.
Are you done?
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Well, we know what side Megan is on.
Yep.
And now moving on to some even more time, extra time.
More time.
With Megan.
With me.
It's extra time with Megan. Megan, who do you have extra time for?
Today, I have a little extra time for the TST tournament. It seems like it's been such a smash hit. The U.S. women's team with the homies Lori and Allie and Carly won the final. They got $1 million.
I know, dinner on
I'm
them.
not paying for the next dinner, whatever it is, to celebrate their championship, but congrats to them.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so fun. I love this tournament too, because I think right now so much around media and where people put money is just like finding live events, a lot around sports or entertainment or music or whatever, but finding live events that you can just like build an experience around. It's fun. They do the Elam ending. It's a shortened field. You're getting players that everybody knows that we don't get to see anymore because they're retired or whatever. I just think it's really cool from like a business and a marketing standpoint. This is just a cool little product that can like make a lot of money, grow interest, especially we're going into a men's World Cup next year. We have Club World Cup this year for the men. We have World Cup 2031 for the women, which will like be here in a snap. So I just love the kind of like growing landscape around soccer in the country. And I think this is like a brilliant little tournament.
I think the best part is the retired players having a place to play that isn't as taxing as 11 on 11. So the field's shorter. It's 7-on-7. They obviously start taking players off. That's
Lots
how
of
their Elam
subs.
ending work. Yeah, it's like hockey subs ish. I don't know what the basketball like equivalent of that would be. It'd probably just be like a shooting contest, but because 3-on-3 arguably harder, as we discussed.
Half court maybe.
I don't know, but yeah, I love that they have a place to do that. That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Do you think you would ever play in it?
I don't know.
You didn't really rehab your Achilles to come back for soccer. You rehabbed your Achilles.
Well, I don't know about that.
You never did any soccer.
Yeah,
you haven't literally have not touched the ball.
I didn't. Except when I was banging my PKs at Nike Top Bins. But other than that, no, I'm not prepared to change direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I actually fell onto the plyo box in my PT with Kyle the other day. So that was tough. Another thing I have a little bit of extra time for.
Hit me.
Formerly Boss Nation, newly renamed Boston NWSL team, Boston Legacy FC unveiled their new crest, and their name was announced in March. I love it. I love it. You know what? Shout out to the Boston NWSL team for actually just like onboarding the very justified criticism for what was a terrible name and a terrible rollout. They just like took it on the chin and came back with something so much better. I love the Swan.
I was just going to say, you love the Swan.
The Swan looks bitchy and I love it. It's like, don't come over here. I will snap that bread out of your fingers. That's what the Swan looks like. It's chasing a child down the Charles, like, get out of my house. That's the kind of energy I like. The colors are great. The green is just like So good. So I love the Swan. It's aggressive and yet elegant. I think it like fits the team so much more. I have all the extra time in the world for that. I also have extra time for Trinity Rodman, spotted back in DC. I don't know what it means. I don't think it means anything. She's doing what she's doing. I'm pumped about it. We also got the reunion of her and Ashley Sanchez, just like the ultimate homies. Those two are so funny together. I have nothing to say about this other than I'm excited that she's back in the district. Tennis, Sue. Locked into tennis.
You were on our flight back, I fell asleep.
You sure did.
And when I woke up,
I mean,
my screen had been hijacked.
Oh, I connected my headphones via Bluetooth
to my screen. I was watching something.
My TV was broken and I have not noticed
first world
millions
problems.
Of points being deposited into my account, Delta. But my TV was broken the whole time and I had to watch the French Open like this.
Sideways.
The men's final. It's like, what is... I changed the whole thing.
No, I couldn't hear anything because you hijacked my.
We watched the men's final
earphones too.
On the flight home because we flew home on Sunday. But that's not really what we want to talk about. We just need to talk about Coco Gauff winning the French Open.
I was getting
absolutely
there.
Smashing. I just love it so much. I love Coco so much. I love her on the court. I love her off the court.
First American to win since Serena, like a decade ago.
Since the GOAT. The video of like little Coco behind.
I know. Those ones. It's
see
like
it,
Leah Williamson.
See it, be it, believe it.
I
It's
know.
just like a whole thing. I could cry about it. It was Coco's 27th match at Roland Garros at the
27th win.
Like, 27th match win. Yeah. And she's like 22 years old. I mean, this is just crazy. I don't get how everybody's so good so young. She became, as you said, the first American to win the Roland Garros title since Serena Williams a decade ago. She immediately, this is what I loved. Jasmine, our producer, actually gave us this. She was like, there's nothing more Gen Z than like winning it all and having like the moment of your life. And then also having to like give your one note about the trophy that it's too small. It's giving Kelsey.
Kelsey Plum.
Yeah, it's giving
All-star.
Kelsey Plum. I just like blanked on Plum's last name. Wild. It's giving Kelsey Plum. She's like, I just had to like let you know that it's not this, it's this, and it's fine. But this is what the take home is. But congrats to Coco Gauff.
Yeah,
we
my favorite part was, I think it was on TikTok, which I don't have, but I was able to watch. How she talks about the realities of going out after winning.
Oh,
and what people don't understand. And it's
nothing's
true.
More true.
You're tired, you're dehydrated, you're a hot mess. And the first thing that goes in your mouth is champagne. And it's like immediately to your brain, you are immediately drunk. Like you smell it and you're drunk.
Immediately.
So you're chugging the champagne, you're immediately drunk, your whole body is ruined.
Yeah.
And you go out and the next day is tough.
It's also like what isn't talked about enough is that being in peak performance for athletics puts you in the worst performance for shithousery and alcohol consumption and going out. You're like, you've been eating clean, drinking water. Your skin is great. You are tight. You have been on your P's and Q's. And then it's just like, and then you all let it all at one time.
I never told you this. When we won, and I don't think I told you this. I never told anybody else this. I might have told you this.
Breaking news.
The bubble, when we partied in the bubble, I got back to obviously it was a contained party. We got back to the hotel. They had everything set up for us. It was like pizza and wings and mozzarella sticks and the whole, I was shoving all of it in my mouth.
Pizza.
And drinking. I was going hard on all of it. About an hour later, sure did have to go to my room to throw it all up. It like filled up. It wasn't alcohol throw up. I wasn't drunk. It was too soon.
It was too soon.
It was too soon.
It was the pizza.
I literally ate myself to vomit. Like I had to get it out. It was wild.
I believe
my body was like not ready.
I believe you because you get crazy on the pizza.
And that's it for the check-in.
And that's it.
You're welcome, everybody, for that visual.
When we come back, we've got Pablo Torre for y'all. Support for A Touch More comes from Ring. If you're an avid listener of the pod, you don't need us to tell you how important good defense is. With Ring doorbells and cameras, you can get security and peace of mind at home or on the go. And A Touch More fans would be glad to hear that Ring is a strong supporter of women's sports. They're expanding partnerships across leagues, including the WNBA and the National Women's Soccer League. With Ring, you can get security and peace of mind from anywhere. Learn more at ring.com.
Support for A Touch More comes from Paramount Plus. For streaming the best soccer in the world, look no further than Paramount Plus. With live matches, highlights, and full match replays, Paramount Plus brings you all the nonstop action from kickoff to the final whistle, including the 2025 NWSL Championship. This season is already full of great storylines, and it's just going to get better. You can watch U.S. Women's National Team stars like Lynn Biondolo, Sam Coffey, and the Thompson sisters dazzle for their club teams. Or you can follow the legendary Marta as she seeks to lead Orlando to a repeat title. Or watch rising phenoms like MVP Temwa Chawinga continue her record-breaking run with Kansas City. You can witness it all as it unfolds with Paramount Plus, available on any device. It's also the streaming home for top-tier soccer all over the globe, including the UEFA Champions League, Serie A, and the EFL Carabao Cup. Point is, if you're a soccer fan, it's a must-have streaming service that lets you stay tuned in all year long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/livesports and get started today. So we have flipped the tables. Normally you are the one interviewing us, but now here we are interviewing one of the most buzzed about interviewers on the internet. Some might say you're on a media tour.
Some have alleged that I am cravenly demanding.
I have a lot to say about that.
Ask me about my show.
Pablo Torre, everybody, host of Pablo Torre Finds Out. Can you explain? Tell me, what is this media tour that I keep hearing about?
It's just something happens when you're making, sacrifices to the algorithm, where sometimes the algorithm actually says, we're going to show you to others. And you're like, oh, thank you. Thank you. I was just dancing while no one was watching, and now people get to actually see it. And so there becomes a look, I'm not going to over-explain this. My show has now done episodes that people actually have heard, consumed, and want to talk about. And so most recently, it was my multi-part investigation into Bill Belichick and his girlfriend and their business, and how one of the most private people in American life has become kind of the opposite in key, interesting ways. And this has led me to some beef with people that, I don't really consider an enemy, but yeah, Bill Simmons and I talked about whether or not I was on a media tour, as he had alleged. And I just said, I'm just saying yes to people who ask me to talk about the thing that I care very deeply about and unapologetically about. So thank you for being at the yet another stop.
Well, for what it's worth, this was planned a long time ago.
It was.
So we didn't know about this Belichick beef just yet.
No.
Yeah, I didn't.
But very quickly before, very quickly.
I have a lot to say.
I know she does. I mean, not only is your show being talked about, you were nominated for a Peabody, and you also won an Edward R. Murrow Award. So, I mean, this isn't just chatter and beef and silly things. Yeah, you're doing real stuff here.
We try to do real stuff. Yeah. I'm inspired by real news magazines that do journalism seriously, while also trying to do, as some of the references I've already made to episodes I've done indicate, that we don't take ourselves terribly seriously either. We're, again, to be very overly explainy about it, I want to do stuff that is smart, but also stuff that is entertainment. And I don't want to have to apologize for either, even though what I'm doing implicitly is apologizing for both.
Well, I don't think you should be apologizing for anything. I love your show and I love what you're doing. And I specifically loved the Belichick reporting. And I have some questions about it. But I feel like what you're doing is, everybody talks about new media and we have to figure out how to do something different. And you're doing the different thing and it's working and you're enjoying it and you're keeping your integrity. And I'm like, why are you hating Bill Simmons? Why we got to be a hater? Sometimes he's just a hater for no reason. I don't even have a beef against Bill, but I do now.
Well, I was going to say, we can.
But I do now.
What are you bringing us into?
Aggregate that. Flip
Sorry.
that.
Yep. Flip it.
Sorry. But I'm like, it's really good work. And I just think it's interesting, but it kind of tracks too. I'm just you're doing something different. It's popular. Someone else didn't think of it first. And now it's oh, why are you doing that?
So to me, doing something independently is obviously something that I take seriously. I've never done that before. I was, suckling at the teat of ESPN for a dozen or so years. And so, hey, my name's on something. Already there's a pressure of like, okay, how does this resemble me? How does my curiosity end up being authentically like reflected in this thing I'm building and that I'm going to be neurotically very invested in? And then it's like, what are people not doing that I feel like I can do differently, even uniquely? And using journalism to solve mysteries that are both deeply serious sometimes and also incredibly frivolous other times. And also in between involve, you guys, by the way, coming on the show. We did a supersized episode, our first supersized episode, because we did like a pseudo pre-Valentine's Day extravaganza with the two of you. You guys are characters in my cinematic universe, which has been a delight.
The first question that I keep chuckling at. Yeah. What was it? The post-nut clarity?
Yeah,
that was how we started that episode.
We did. We had an investigation into whether post-nut clarity is a scientific performance-enhancing phenomenon. And spoiler alert, I think it is. I think it is.
We got to the bottom of it.
I think my favorite part of the New York Times article that recently came out, because you just referenced like at ESPN for a long time. Now you're doing your own thing, which is at the very end, how you're like, it occurred to me that the show's name was the perfect title because it embodied what it meant to be a reporter and discover and be surprised, he says. But it'll also be the perfect epitaph if it all goes horribly wrong. You about to find out. Pablo's about to find out.
It is. You sort of like, at some point, just like the cold sweat of like, oh no, I wrote someone's headline for them. I wrote the song they can sing while they dance on the grave of Pablo Torre Finds Out. But I
think you're finding out that there's very much an appetite for everything you're doing.
I've been really gratified by that. Just like, oh my God, the problem is not there isn't enough stuff to find out. The initial joke when the show launched was like, you're going to run out of stuff to find out like pretty quickly. And that has thankfully not at all been the problem. Sometimes because I turn things like, Sue's story about the butthole motivational speech into like a really effective bit of viral content for me, frankly.
It's so good.
But also, because it is just centered around my curiosity, I just am very genuinely somebody who has lots of questions that I think other people may, if they haven't asked them before, will think to themselves, I am glad someone asked this. And that's been a big part of like, oh, right, I'm crystallizing around the idea of using journalism in a real way and making phone calls and going to the bottom of rabbit holes that no one asked me to investigate. But I'm going to get to, the very ends of the earth to try and solve these things.
The reason I love the Belichick reporting so much, I feel like it was Trojan horsing a lot of other things. Where I read the whole thing as very subversive. Is that what you were trying to do with it?
I use the sort of like language of Trojan horses. I use the language of like melting cheese on broccoli a lot because sports to me it's obviously fun. It is candy. It's the toy department. There are a zillion ways to describe the unseriousness of it. But inside of it, underneath it, inside of the Trojan horse, underneath the peanut butter you wrap the pill around you give your dog, whatever you want to imagine, right? Like, I want there to be real substance in it. And I want it to be something that both my friends who are deeply stoned can enjoy, as well as, professors who are experts in these fields that it's one of the few things that we did in that first full episode we did was like we interviewed the Harvard philosophy professor who wrote the book that Jordan Hudson had Bill Belichick autograph on that plane ride that began their relationship. And we were like, I wonder what this professor thinks that this book, this deductive reasoning book, is now character in this story too. And so we literally will go high and low in all these senses to get into this. Yeah.
I loved what I saw as a sociological experiment of making men do backflips to support Bill Belichick in his totally inexplicable fall from what they've all said about him for all of these years. He's hyper in control. He's about one thing. He's super disciplined.
Do your job.
Do your job. To now all of a sudden he's incapable of doing anything. Thinking, feeling for himself. All of a sudden he's like been master manipulated by a 24-year-old woman, which could be possible. But I'm like, Really, you guys? We're not just going to say this is what he wants to do? That was like my favorite part of the whole thing. I feel like men never get it like that. And you gave it to him like that. And I was like,
no,
yes.
I appreciate your read of it. Like part of the comedy of it is, I mean, so much of sports is us grappling with our dads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frankly,
Yeah.
just like Michael Jordan versus LeBron James is my dad could beat up your dad. That's what that story is.
Yeah,
Totally.
You know, like my childhood was better than yours, and I'm tougher because I learned these lessons, and I had to walk uphill 2 ways to go to school. It's all of that. And so in the Belichick story, we have like one of America's foremost, most emotionally withholding fathers. Now in this place of such an opposite, certainly I would say branding place, but even more than that, something that's psychological, that is sociological, that is like, what does it feel like when you got to see literally in episode 2, what happens when you got to see your dad shirtless? It's like, yeah, you feel some things that you're not necessarily eager to feel. And so, yes, we are holding a mirror to America's men in a way that I don't know if they fully realize yet, but I'm glad you sort of saw that.
Yeah. I wonder if everybody who thinks you're reporting about this as frivolous is not understanding it's a mirror. We wanted to read you some of the titles of your episodes of Pablo Torre Finds Out.
Am I going to be proud of this? Is a good subplot.
How to age well and have a threesome. The Bill Belichick ring video. Pablo Torre found a new tape and finally solved the mystery.
Which we actually got a shout out because you got
oh my god
that ring camera.
We were part of the research.
You guys
part of the research.
You guys got a production credit on that? Or we get
100%.
nominated for whatever award one gets for
we want to be
that?
the people behind you.
So
just
yes,
being like,
yes, absolutely.
We'll be there behind you.
But just the brief story is I went to your live podcast. By the way, genuine delight in Brooklyn. You guys, my compliments to you is that you guys on this show and in that setting are now just like who I know in real life. And that's like the ultimate. Anyway, blah, 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 blah.
You.
Authenticity, fun, just like genuinely having a good time, inviting people to do the same. But the gift bag, because it was sponsored by Ring, I did not know this like blocks away. And I was just like carrying, I was like, I wonder what's it? I'm going to find out what's in this.
Yeah.
And so what I do to people is I often put on the desk of our studio a box inside of which is something that I'm revealing to them. We'd like to do like an unboxing of journalism kind of thing. And in the box that I was like unmarked was a Ring camera. And the next day, I was going to this Airbnb, and I was just like, if the universe isn't telling me that I'm doing the right job, we used it. And it became the thing that we made a tape of myself, not shirtless, disappointingly to some, allegedly. So you guys enabled this. You're responsible.
Yeah. We're actually the ones behind the reporting.
You're on a media tour, not me.
Yeah.
You are.
There's one more. How to clone yourself with AI. How do you come up with these? Like, how do you think about the titles?
It's, I will get lightly stoned and walk around New York City. And that's just like, so I am either very sincerely and soberly like thinking and doing reporting and recording interviews. And then it's sort of like the ideas that come to you come about because you took a walk around the block or you put down your phone.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I need to just like briefly unplug. And I just find that intense ideation, like topics, I just end up seeing things from like the other angle.
We have a new segment on our show that we're floating, but I think it's going to stick.
Yeah.
You guys,
we've only done it
segments are
once.
scary.
We've only done once. It's called What the Headline, WTH, where we basically are going to call out clickbait. And this has happened to...
Like when the headline doesn't match the story or is like so inflammatory.
Yeah.
But then it's like, that's not... And this actually just happened to Megan. This is our first iteration. Was we talked about Caitlin and Stephanie White a couple weeks ago were like getting on the refs. And we had a conversation about, is that good? Should player, like, is there a game
like the strategy around complaining to the refs, when to do it, why to do it, who should do it, at what time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, and of course, us as players.
And we
I mean, I complained incessantly. constantly.
Yeah. And I feel like we had a decent balance, but there was one part where you were like, they shouldn't do it. It's like, you're not going to get anything from it. And then followed it with, and by the way, I also complain to refs all the time.
Yeah.
So it was like somewhat balanced. The headline, CBS Sports. I don't remember exactly, but
it wasn't some like wackadoodle one.
Megan Rapinoe warns Caitlin Clark.
Issues warning. Megan Rapinoe issues warning to
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. And
That's
I was
right.
like, that's right.
Like, what?
Caitlin, that's right. You're damn right. No,
Megan
and
Rapinoe threatens Caitlin Clark publicly.
Literally. And it just was so fascinating to me because, and we have felt this in our show before. If we talked about Angel or Caitlin or certain names, like we will get more views or we'll get the clicks or whatever. But it's like, does that mean that all of our segments are about them? No. And we've been really good, I think, and like thoughtful about like, if we have something to say about them or that's something that involves them, we want to say that, but not like just going and not manufacturing to that. What do you think? I mean, you're the real journalist here. We're just like trying to pretend like we know how to do it.
We have our iPad and our computer
open.
open.
This is very
otherwise I have no idea what I'm
Google
doing.
Doc.
Yeah. How do you think about that? And like, what do you think the future of it is? I mean, honestly, for podcasts, people like us, but for real journalists like you, future of clickbait and journalism, how it's intersecting, like how do we combat it? And how do you break through the noise? I mean, I guess that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think you must, surrender on some level to just how the machine operates if you're going to put your thing inside of it. So it's like, if you have a segment that you know is going to be widely circulated and you're proud of it, like, yes, you should put the terms in there without being dishonest, such that, yes, you get to also be seen and viewed. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's also important to acknowledge that all of this kind of feels like subprime a bit. And the reason I sort of evoke the language of like the financial crisis is just that it does feel like the more that I see, for instance, like Twitter, the more that I see how people who have nothing to add are generating traffic is a symptom of the lack of health for the machine itself. Because there's just a lot of easy ways to like grift off of this stuff. And the subprime feeling is like when you poke a layer beneath, there isn't a story there. Or there is something
just a bot.
very different. Or oftentimes
or
it's
that
a
just
bot.
has you scroll and it keeps you in and says nothing.
Yep.
I've had that happen.
Yeah. We've all, I think all of us.
Oh God, I just got got.
Yeah, we get got. I have had many smart friends on group chats send like the fake Twitter account parodies of like NBA Central. We've got Centelled. My group chats full of very bright, discerning journalists get Centelled quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's always like, I get why the machine is optimized for clicks. I get why people are making content that is trending towards shallowness and headline as opposed to depth and substance. I get that. It's a lot easier. And it's arguably more effective if the metric that works is, did you click on it? But me, I'm just like, I see every trend in technology and culture as like a pendulum. And so the question is, if we are swinging so far towards this subprime, cheap, just like clearly no one feels good about it kind of content, this crap. Slop is the term of art, and slop is right. AI has only, of course, exacerbated the slop. If we are feeling like, wow, it's getting too far this way, I want to be over on the other side when the pendulum swings back, when there is a market correction. Because I feel like the things that are like fundamentally lasting as products, to speak the language of products briefly, is just like, is your shit good? Is it good? You know, like that's why I make things for people who want to spend 45 minutes as opposed to 1 second. Even as I see people who, by the way, like the thing that I not to be on a bit of a high horse about this, but like there are all these like journalists, quote unquote, like TikTok or Instagram, and their journalism is doing the green screen thing behind them in which they are pointing at like a Wikipedia page or like a screenshot of something. And I'm like, that's not fucking journalism. It's like you're pointing at maybe some journalism someone else did, but it's just so revealing that qualifies as like, wow. Like, again, it's not fighting it because human nature, consumers, I think we're all feeling like, wow, if someone can wear the costume for 5 seconds of substance, you get the actual benefits of the click. And so we just are so far, I think, from substance that I just want to be the guy who's like early on substance, even though this is the most ancient take to have, which is like be good at something as opposed to being cheap and dishonest about it.
Yeah, but I hear you on the pendulum because the swing is going to be what stands out is going to be like really good work.
Oh,
depth, researched, right? Like you're going to actually learn something. That is going to be hopefully becomes the new currency.
Yeah. And I feel like we do know so much, down to the minute or down to the click of like what the algorithm wants. So then you're looking at it like, I actually know what the other side is. So you're just like, let me not do all the things that we know work to get this crap. And then I'll do this and we'll just bank on that.
Support for A Touch More comes from Paramount Plus. For streaming the best soccer in the world, look no further than Paramount Plus. With live matches, highlights, and full match replays, Paramount Plus brings you all the nonstop action from kickoff to the final whistle, including the 2025 NWSL Championship. This season is already full of great storylines, and it's just going to get better. You can watch U.S. Women's National Team stars like Lynn Biondolo, Sam Coffey, and the Thompson sisters dazzle for their club teams. Or you can follow the legendary Marta as she seeks to lead Orlando to a repeat title. Or watch rising phenoms like MVP Temwa Chawinga continue her record-breaking run with Kansas City. You can witness it all as it unfolds with Paramount Plus, available on any device. It's also the streaming home for top-tier soccer all over the globe, including the UEFA Champions League, Serie A, and the EFL Carabao Cup. Point is, if you're a soccer fan, it's a must-have streaming service that lets you stay tuned in all year long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/livesports and get started today. Yeah, well, one of the reasons we wanted to have you come on is some of your episodes that you've covered on trans athletes. And to start off, well, first of all, the topic is in the headlines yet again. So here we are.
It never isn't at this point.
But where did your curiosity start with it?
It was a story that I pitched and reported with my friend David Epstein, who also wrote the book Range and the Sports Gene, who's brilliant, a journalist as well, an author, at Sports Illustrated. And this was 2012.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you, when we pitched this story, it was an uphill battle because people are like, what? Like Jason Collins, you guys were like the cutting edge of like, whoa, there are gay athletes.
Yeah, I came out in 2012.
I was going to say, I didn't come out until 2017. It wasn't even me.
Right.
You were ahead of me.
I'm retconning your bravery.
You outed me.
Yeah.
You reversed out.
You were gay in 2012?
Holy shit.
No.
So it was this thing of like, my editors at Sports Illustrated, who obviously like greenlit the story because we explained it, but they were like, why are you interested in this?
Yeah.
And the whole premise was there is a population of people that already exist, and they are going to pose real complex questions of governing bodies when it comes to what rules must you impose to ensure competitive equity. So it was literally premised on the controversy that has been so like funhouse mirror distorted in every Twitter argument between Riley Gaines and Simone Biles and everybody else. And not just that, but the president of the United States and the vice president and every head of every agency that weighs in on this, that every congressperson who gets elected on this. It was actually about who are these people, what's it like, and what are the complexities here? Because I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
What do you do with these people who just want to play sports? And so my curiosity started with that. And if you told me in 2012 that this would be a thing that would have the most political currency of any topic, not just in sports, but maybe like American culture at this point, in terms of it being phrased now as an 80-20 issue, meaning that 80% of people lean with the Make America Great Again Republican Party about get these people the fuck out of here. They are, grifters who are impersonating women and want to steal everybody's trophies and all this stuff. That's the political consensus. If you told me that in 2012, my mind would have been blown that this thing I had to argue to cover is now willingly being used.
Swaying an election.
Affecting the presidential election.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
It is just shocking how quickly it became just like pervasive. And I think to me, that's just like people don't actually know much about it. So what would you tell people sort of just on a base level before they're like, I'm against it?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I would say there are, number one, and I have to say this to preempt the obvious, like, you're lying to me counter argument everyone's ready for. There are differences when it comes to people who have gone through testosterone-driven puberty and people who haven't. Mm-hmm. There are scientific differences. Now, we can and should get into the nuances of that, but that is also real. Men and women as a broad category. And you guys, I mean, again, it's just funny for me to say this to you guys, but there are differences, right? Mm-hmm. There are. Now, with that established, and I hope there is a bit of shared common ground between me and this hypothetical person, I want to establish some other truths, which are literally no trans person on record has transitioned in order to win medals and trophies in sports.
The Juana Man.
The Juana Man theory of trans athletes, which is the predominant theory.
That blows my mind that people could ever believe that.
So that's where I'm just like, oh, you guys, so the tells and my frustration are around the incredible dishonesty that are the red flags for people who have spent a second actually reporting on the topic. I did not walk into this topic, as I think I sort of summarized, saying, I have a point of view about the unfairness of all of this. It was genuinely...
Yeah, like a curiosity around, wow, this is complex.
How do you make the rules?
Yeah.
How do you make the rules? And we have not even gotten to that,
No.
which is so darkly funny. Yeah. Because, by the way, spoiler alert, there have been rules. You can't just wake up Juana Man style and start playing women's sports. You need to go, I mean, NCAA,
you covered that
every pro league.
With the fencer.
Exactly. We just did an episode in which fencing came back on my show because this was...
Fencing part 2, a little bit different.
Because there was a controversy about, like, you know, again, a protest around, a kneeling-based protest around whether a female fencer should fence her opponent, who happened to be a trans fencer, a trans female fencer. But I say all of this to say that when it comes to like the red flags of like, this is why the other side is unserious on this. The other side being the Make America Great Again Republican Party. It's because they are actively, and in a way that contradicts what it means to be humane, mischaracterizing a deeply vulnerable and victimized population that you can criticize on the level of like, again, let's figure out what the rules should be. Maybe we'll disagree. Maybe there are uncomfortable decisions to be made around like what you got to do to play sports. But the inhumane part and the indecent part is fundamentally around what you are alleging about motive. These people are not waking up one day and being like, I'm going to terrorize female athletes and steal their trophies.
In sports. Yeah, I'm like, I just don't know the person who, with all that the Make America Great Again Republican Party is saying and the ways in which they're making trans people's lives horrible in any way that they can. I don't know anybody who loves sports that much to want to do that. To want to sign up for that. I'm like, I'm sorry. People don't want it that much. Like, that's insane. Well, it's insane to do it anyways, but it's insane in the context of our current culture from the right and the way that they speak about trans people and dehumanize them and take away their health care and all the things, make them feel unsafe. No one wants that. It's insane. It doesn't hold up at all.
And beyond the fact that the trans population at last check was like contemplating suicide at a rate of 1 in 3, right? To speak to that. The fact that again, you can just go on and on and on and on. It's just so self-evident, right? So that's the population that these people are like using as its political cudgel to beat the Democrats in elections. Think about then willingly participating in sports as a trans person. how much you must love and need, frankly, sports as this thing that you value in your life. And I've now interviewed multiple times trans athletes at every level, you know, and those people that I talk to, again, criticize them on the level of like, what happens if you're this age and there is this advantage? And like, okay, like save the hypothetical for a second.
Sure. Yeah.
To opt in to sports in 2025 as a trans athlete, a trans female athlete specifically, because that is really, all trans people are going through it, but like that population is like the politically, because it's, again, it's the, you're stealing Megan and Sue's trophies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the argument. The thing that this leads us to is the second thing I want people to know on the fact-checking level, which is that there aren't a lot of them.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of swaying elections, based on like a handful of people.
It's the most overblown story in American politics by far.
Clip that.
By far.
I know.
Rank.
I mean, we talked about it recently about how even Trump himself was interviewed. This is now probably a month or 2 months ago. And somehow I think he's like sitting in the Oval Office. It's just like one of those, not casual interviews, but it just looks like he's like talking and somebody brings it up and he goes, oh, no. Wait till we get closer to elections for that.
Yeah.
He even knows himself that this is, no. Wait until the midterms for that. Wait until the elections for that. Because he knows it tips. But I don't think it's actually, we know. It's not actually because there's like a care there or a fear there or a worry there. In reality, they just use it.
It works. They use it because it works.
I literally fell off my chair when I was, I actually watched this podcast when you did The Fencer. I don't usually watch podcasts, but I'm trying to get into it. Apparently it's a thing.
Like
so
and subscribe.
I was watching it.
Yeah,
literally
almost watch on YouTube.
Fell off my chair when after. So very quickly, for those that haven't listened, there's a fencing competition you already referenced in which a woman protested, literally knelt in protest to not go against.
The irony.
I know. Looking at you, kid.
I was going to say, Megan, you did this. You did this as well.
I'm also just like using the mechanism of kneeling, which was used to fight for people's rights, to fight to deny people's rights, is really it's really sweet and special. Yeah, it's really cute.
It's a bit much, dare I say.
It's on the nose.
Yeah. So there was this protest against a trans fencer. I literally almost fell off my chair when 5 minutes later, you find out that the woman who protested competed in a co-ed competition like a week prior. I mean, I literally, even her Fox News, was it Fox News interview where they're trying to like hype her up as like a potential
this is an
Olympian.
Olympic qualifier.
And she's even like, she's so uncomfortable because she's like, no, actually, no, I'm not. It's the way in which it's covered that I just can't.
It's a lot of lies.
So many lies. But you don't have enough time in the day.
Don't care when they're caught in the lie.
Because the intuitive politics, I mean, what does Trump talks about politics? Just like be very memorably direct and simple. Mm-hmm. Make America great again. She's for they, them, I'm for you. Mm-hmm. Like that shit.
During the football games and stuff?
During sporting events.
Prices.
Yeah. The other thing, I'll say this. I would say, speaking on this topic, the other thing that I find most difficult is what you're touching on in terms of the complexities, the nuances. We're very aware of that. We understand that. But to have those conversations, if you even gave an inch, a sliver of, there might be a sliver. That's it. They're going to take that. People are going to run with that.
Yep.
That's
it's hard.
Because we understand the nuance of it.
Yeah. By the way, so this brings us to the Simone Biles, Riley Gaines thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I just want to clarify when I say that like there's like a numeracy problem in which people have overblown into a moral panic, a thing that doesn't happen that often at all. I mean that to a very profound mathematical degree. Like, again, you can quibble with the population counting, but like not Mark Emmert now, but the president of the NCAA now, Charlie Baker, he testified in Congress. Like, there are fewer than 10 NCAA trans athletes.
And that was men and women.
Yeah.
That wasn't just like trans women.
Total. Less than 0.02%.
300,000. Yeah.
And when I did the episode, the Murrow Award one, it was with Ember Zelch, who is a softball player in the state of Ohio. And the state of Ohio was passing, as many of these states did, dozens of states did, anti-trans sports bills. And the reason I talked to Ember was because Ember was the athlete that was affected by this in Ohio, meaning the only varsity athlete in the state of Ohio who happened, and this is my favorite part and why like I love this story so much because no one talks about it the way that I think they should when it comes to like media people. Amber Zalch is not good at sports.
She's bad. She's bad. Yeah.
Like, is a third string backup softball catcher who has 0 home runs, who just loves to play, who loves the idea of being on a team that happens to align with her actual identity as she has conceived it. And that very basic premise is so unrelatable, I think. And I get it. I get why intuitively it's a harder sales pitch, right? Like, wait a minute, why don't you just play in the other thing? Play with the boys. Right. And it's like, well, if you meet a trans person, that's no small decision, right? Like so much of it is trying to fight for your actual, and I say this in a way that is already self-conscious, but like when I say to fight for your actual truth, this is not a cliche. This is lived and fought for in real time in ways that not until you talk to trans people do I think you really understand why these things that now feel like woke leftist cliches come from a place of like pain. So yeah, I do think that athletes who meet the rules should be able to play in the division that conforms with who they are. And frankly, we are living in a country that is way too obsessed with kids' genitals.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like, leave them the fuck alone.
Talk about the weird part.
We haven't even gotten to the fairness. Just like this is something else we talked about. What is fair?
Right.
Yeah. Sports are inherently not fair.
Yeah, inherently.
People are bigger, people are smaller, people are stronger, people are faster, people are
richer.
People have more opportunities,
but
people
we're
have less
okay with
opportunities.
those.
Yeah.
And fairs.
And so I think that's another profound lie that has been sold to the American public. The idea that we have graded all of the inequities that people have inherited. And this is the number one example that we should fight on. And I will just point you to my favorite statistic in the NBA recently, which is that if you were to combine all of the children of former professional basketball players, the most prolific feeder of NBA talent to the NBA as a college would be that group of people, former professional basketball players. And you guys,
what do you know?
I mean, it's just, oh, wow, shocking. People who have not just the genetics, but also the income.
I always think of Yao Ming. Isn't it true that his parents got like essentially put
the government of China may or may not. I'm working on that episode.
Really?
They are very tall, and they are also, the progenitors of a great athletic specimen. And this is so, which is to say that, again, not to nullify the idea that there would be a competitive scientific distinction to draw that justifies hormone regulations and rules, right? It's just that you have made peace, America, with so many different inherited advantages in every way that you don't lose sleep about, that are significantly not just more impactful, but so much more common. And so ask yourself, why is this the one that makes you lose sleep at night? And ask yourselves who's selling it to you and why they care about this one, but not the others. That's the shit where I'm like, let's talk about that so we can get to the actual rules and fairness, because there is a really complicated, interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
And I will just again reiterate, these governing bodies, the NCAA, professional sports leagues, they have, the reason I wrote that story in 2012 was because they were grappling with it then. And I don't think they got it all right. I'm not saying that everybody figured it out. It's just that there have been rules for years. And the fact that you don't know that, you think you can Juana man this shit, is also indicative of how the conversation has spun out of control.
I had someone ask me, what's your take about men in sport and women's sports? And genuinely, for the first 5 minutes of the conversation, I thought we were... I had to make sense of it in my head. I was like, men and women's sports. I thought he was talking about like the influx of media or something. We have more men talking about women's sports now. And then he was like, no. And then he was like, them playing it. And I literally had to say, I was like, can you name? And that actually worked for me. I was like, can you name like I can't name any Olympians in my time. I can't name anyone in the WNBA. I can't, you know what I mean? So it was just this interesting thing when you put it back, it actually worked. But Pablo, I think both of us really appreciate just like your conversation on this topic, how you're covering it with like nuance. You're putting it all out there. And it's really the one place, like for those that are interested, whether it's the science of it, which that episode was beyond.
So Katie Barnes came on the show and who wrote the book on this and like said things that are admittedly politically inconvenient at times when it says we got to draw a line somewhere, you know? And so again, I don't want to belabor that, but listen to that episode if you want like the nitty gritty, because you have to come up with dividing lines and not everyone's going to be happy, but that's okay if it comes from a place of good faith to me.
Yeah.
You know, like science and good faith as opposed to what is, again, this fucking Riley Gaines, Simone Biles thing. So just for people who did not, and God bless you if you didn't become familiar with this
I need to
shit.
Get on your algorithm, which is no algorithm.
God. But the whole idea that Riley Gaines, whose claim to fame, of course, as an elite athlete, is tying for fifth with Leah Thomas. Again, no shade. I wasn't a college athlete. Like, salute to Riley Gaines for being like an accomplished, but like the joke, you're inviting the joke to write itself when it comes to like, you're now trash talking the greatest gymnast of all time. And you're using the fact that she was sexually violated, you know, as a young person to dunk on her because you're trying to make this equivalence, this deeply false equivalence between the Ember Zelches of the world, the softball player in Ohio who sucks at softball, and Larry Nassar. Like literally the argument is you are the one who is betraying victims because you invite these predators in, these Juana men in. I mean, Juana Man actually doesn't do justice to the caricature, the horror movie idea that they're selling America, which is that not only are they stealing trophies, they're also there to prey upon your daughters.
Right.
And that's where I'm just like, the very basic, like, I can't believe you have appropriately in this case, the balls to do this.
Yeah.
What the like?
Which only says what we actually think men are going to do when they're around other women.
So
I'm like,
oh, okay.
Relatedly,
a bit of a hobby horse I've had that I've been waiting. I'll just do it here for now, briefly. But just the idea that like it's just interesting, right? It's like these men are a real problem around women and female athletes. Part of what I want to ask Riley Gaines is be like, you do realize that like men are around female athletes in other ways all of the time.
Tons of ways.
That has literally resulted in actual
harm.
The one you're making light of to dunk on Simone Biles is just one of them. And you are not raising a stink at all around that.
Well, it was the same when everyone popped up around this conversation. It was like, we have to protect women in sports and we have to protect. I was like, what? You haven't been a women's sports fan forever. You haven't protected women at all. Crazy shit's been happening in women's sports the whole time. And now we have to protect women's sports from men?
It's disingenuous.
Perceived men. It's totally disingenuous.
It's from a vanishingly small population that you are just flooding our timelines with, by the way, to make it seem like it's a lot more than the vanishingly small population of people who dares to want to do sports despite being told you're not welcome here over and over again. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, fucking crazy. All right. We have one more thing before we let you go. You weren't going to get out of this.
Oh, God.
Every time Pablo you've been at a couple live events now, he has always commented, especially the Juju Watkins.
I hate this.
He's like, dang, you guys go hard on the bench start cut.
Juju's was tough.
Juju's was tough. Actually, I learned a lot that day.
Yeah.
Funny tough, but I learned a lot that day. So it's now your turn to be in the hot seat.
This.
First up.
Okay.
I've got some an athlete edition.
Okay.
Bench start cut. Jeremy Lin. Manny Pacquiao. And this one's kind of funny, but we're going to go Jordan Clarkson.
Okay. Wow. I am going to have to cut Manny Pacquiao.
Wow. Okay.
So Manny's the first athlete ever profiled at Sports Illustrated. I embedded in his entourage. There's no more fun assignment as a magazine writer than like embedded in an entourage of a boxer who doesn't give a fuck and also doesn't necessarily know how to distinguish between you, Filipino journalist, and the 49th guy on his roster of entourage members. I like played pickup basketball with him. It was great. It was amazing.
Oh, it's amazing.
The reason I'm cutting him though is because Manny unfortunately did the thing where he became a senator in the Philippines, actual politician, and his takes aren't great.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. It's not great takes, Manny. Like Manny the boxer would totally start you. Manny the politician, I'm cutting you.
He's out.
Jordan Clarkson, I do have to bench.
Okay.
And I say that because I feel bad that I don't claim him more often. He's out here. He's Filipino.
Yeah.
He's Filipino.
He
played for you.
Playing for the Philippines.
Yes. And the reason I haven't claimed him as much is because in the summer, well, not at the summer, in 2012, while I was also doing this trans athlete story, I was also covering a little story called Linsanity. And so the reason I'm starting Jeremy Lin is because I was radicalized by him as the Asian athlete that changed my life. Covering that story, I would argue if there's any story, it wasn't the trans one that brought me to ESPN. It was Linsanity. And I just saw him at All-Star in San Francisco. He comes up all of the time in terms of conversation. He's somebody that I just have this very cosmic connection with because we got to know each other at a time when he was going through it at the center of like the New York media, global media market, China plus Manhattan. There was a rumor Kim Kardashian wants to meet Jared. I'm just like, we're.
And he's like sleeping on Jared Jeffrey's couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Hanging out with Landry Fields. So that I'm starting Jeremy Lin.
Okay, fair. Very quick on Linsanity. My sister, who's like a casual sports fan, doesn't really pay close attention, but like does, right? I was in Russia when Linsanity happened, obviously very much aware, watching the whole thing. She mailed me a Jeremy Lin t-shirt jersey.
Yes.
Oh my God, amazing.
Mailed it to Russia. Like that's how
that.
Insane my sister was about it.
Oh, I got some jerseys.
Oh my
It's like
gosh,
I
some
knew it
jerseys.
was insane, but after living and spending more time in New York, especially around sports,
God.
especially around this like latest Knicks run and just how much people I
only
cannot imagine.
Yeah. And then actually
what it was like.
getting to know Jared Jeffrey was with the Nuggets when I was there and having Jared tell stories.
Oh man.
Insane.
It was like a college team. That
Oh my
Knicks team was like a
God.
college team. And
So dope.
what we saw, I was at game 6 of the Celtics series and I was like on 7th Avenue, just like as they celebrated, making Eastern Conference finals. And I was just like, yeah, this is if you can ever bottle this and unlock it, there's just nothing more potent than unhinged Knicks fans getting their teeth into something.
People love the Knicks.
Oh,
Last one.
okay.
Megan Rapinoe. Sue Bird. Diana Taurasi.
Oh. All right.
This should have been where we plead our case.
I was going to say.
This is why you should start me.
I like that this is now just like ego Shark Tank. I'm like, yes. Oh, wow. So this is tough. I mean, this is tough for obvious reasons. One of them is that you're here in front of me.
Whose idea was this? It wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
So Diana, Sue, you have called her the greatest of all time.
Yes.
And you'd think that that would be enough to not get cut, but she's getting cut.
Let's go.
Because I am an impartial
You're a
journalist
smart
who
guy.
values content.
And you're face to
And
face.
I'm staring at you. So Diana, I'm sorry.
And Diana doesn't give us any content outside of her on-court moments. She gives us so little.
Why do you think you should start?
I didn't say I thought I should start.
Oh, okay.
But clearly you think you should, so why don't you
I
tell
know
us?
I know why you think you should be on. I think you should be on the bench. Because
Of
bench
this
players,
podcast?
What?
Of this
No,
podcast?
this made up bench star cut situation.
Okay, why do you think I should be benched? So you're already making my case for getting benched so you can start. Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna let you answer first. I don't want to sway. Oh, use it again.
Wow. All right. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna bench Sue.
Tough.
I didn't know I wanted
But
to
here's-
start until you got benched.
But here's why. Because I've been studying great coaches. And I know that Sue Bird responds very well to motivation.
Yeah, she does.
And I want Sue to know that even though she has literally been
here.
booked for future podcasts already, that's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
On Pablo Torre Finds Out, you got to earn your spot. And so, Megan,
But I gave
welcome to
you
the starting
this.
lineup.
I gave you the butthole.
Sue, at the risk of being canceled in the last sentence of my appearance here, you're gonna have to give me more than the butthole.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
Don't clip that.
Megan says that all the time. I'm used to it, Pablo. Can't get inside this head. Can't get inside this head. All right, I'm on the bench.
good.
You're starting. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I don't mind tapping out. You can come on in.
No, I thought you should come off the bench because you like bring the energy type of person.
I am.
I like how Sue's actually bothered.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
we all got.
Thank you so much for coming. This was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
I look forward to the next time you guys are in my studio.
That's it for this episode. Next week, we are observing Juneteenth, so the pod will drop on Friday, June 20th, and we will see you then. Support for A Touch More comes from Ring. If you're an avid listener of the pod, you don't need us to tell you how important good defense is. With Ring doorbells and cameras, you can get security and peace of mind at home or on the go. And A Touch More fans would be glad to hear that Ring is a strong supporter of women's sports. They're expanding partnerships across leagues, including the WNBA and the National Women's Soccer League. With Ring, you can get security and peace of mind from anywhere. Learn more at ring.com. Support for A Touch More comes from Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is your streaming home for the best soccer in the world. Watch U.S. Women's National Team stars like Lynn Biondolo, Sam Coffey, and the Thompson sisters dazzle for their club teams. Catch live matches, highlights, and full match replays all season long. Don't miss out on the most exciting moments as they unfold. From kickoff to the final whistle, including the 2025 NWSL Championship streaming on Paramount Plus. Get started today by visiting ParamountPlus.com/livesports.